Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whiz Bang Marketing for Comics, our masterclass. We got week 3 happening here, promos. So just really excited to continue moving on with this journey of promotional concepts here. And if you haven't been able to catch the first 2 weeks, please check them out. So you're here. You have the Eventbrite ticket online page. You can rewatch. Just click on week 1, week 2. Now we're here, week 3. And if you're live, feel free to chat. You can ask questions or make comments as we go, and I watch those, and then we can get back to those at the end of the workshop. Also, you can email Jeff, so I'll put up his email address. So this is our ongoing series with the very talented Jeff Wilson, local cartoonist, animator, illustrator, actor too. So it's like, we got a lot of gamut here of the what he's bringing to these workshops is fantastic because even if you've missed our 2D animation one, that's on our YouTube channel now as well. So please check that out. Some really great stuff on terms of posing and creating with Procreate, the software we're using. So the software we're using is the Procreate software, and that is available on our iPads for iPads and iPhones. There's also similar software out there like that, so it's not necessarily that you have to use it, but this is the one we've chosen. It's a low-cost app, so when Jeff is presenting and demoing, that's what we're using, and we encourage you to check that out as well. I want to thank all our library partners in this project. So we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, we have the Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library. You can check out iPads at these libraries as well, so be sure to check them out. And I also want to thank the Canada Council for the Arts. So without any further ado, let me pass it over to Jeff. Here we go, Jeff.
Okay, and thank you again, Tom, and thanks everyone for tuning in again. And I hope we're going to have a little bit of fun today. This will be a lot of talking by me, which isn't my favorite thing, but this is really probably the one episode you might get. Hopefully, get your minds going about what you can do to get your product out there and to get your name out there. It's basically a lot of what you do is yourself. So you're promoting yourself as well as your material, and you'll find that to you, what the product is number one, but you'll find that to the public, you're just as valuable to it as the product is too. So we're going to talk a little bit today about just getting your name out there, how to do it. First of all, you have to have the product out, have it, in some form that can be consumed. So it's getting it out there so that the public knows about it. And I think we live in a day and age when there are many low-cost ways of doing it, or many very applicable ways of getting your name out there and getting your content out there. And that's very important to let people know you're out there, and hopefully it's fulfilling to you to get the feedback. It certainly I've found that getting feedback from people, which I haven't really gotten until lately, is very rewarding. It helps you, inspires you to keep going and keep moving forward. So I've called today's lesson, or today's topic, promos, and I'm just going to swing over to our iPad Pro here. I'm just going to maybe close up to a bit there, and I'm going to our main screen here. I'm just going to go to our title, take that down, and going to our first part of the topic, promote. So this is the nuts and bolts of what we're going to talk about today, promoting. So promoting, of course, obviously it requires brainstorming and planning, and that's really where it all begins. It's just the same as writing or drawing your comic strip, or your writing or designing your production. So it's really again, it's you in that board, that art board again, the blank page, and the same old story. You're back to square one. And then I've got a little graphic here of Moses with the tablet at the top, because it really there's a lot of similarities there. Talk to others. So important too to get feedback from others. I was very fortunate when I did my comic strips. One of the people that I got to bend the ear of was a talented lady named Lynn Johnston, and she was very helpful. She was a busy person, but she said, just mail some of your roughs off to me, and I'd be happy to give them a critique and give you my viewpoints. Very, very nice of her to do that, and that really made a big difference to me. Somebody with that level of professionalism and a very talented person and willing to help a little tiny schmo like me was a big to me. It was a big deal and very much appreciated. So that's, if you could bend the ear of big fish like big cartoonists, by all means take advantage of that. I knew a cartoonist, I still know him, who when a gent named Gene Colan, who was a favorite comic book artist of mine, he used to send his work to him to critique, and he was very kind. And they used to exchange Christmas cards, which was pretty amazing. Gene Colan was like God to me. I didn't think he would even talk to me. So there you go. Don't think of these big stars as being unapproachable. If you have somebody that you really admire and you want to know what they would think of your work, don't hesitate to just send it off to them. Or if it's even just your local grocer or your local chiropractor, just don't feel like they will not be interested in this. They will probably be very honored that you asked them to participate in the process. So talk to others and listen to others. That's a very important thing. They will always have feedback that comes from their own distinct perspective. That's always helpful to have a very unique viewpoint of it, and it really helps you to assess it in a more way. We all kind of go into this like, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do it this way. But sometimes getting that objective feedback will help you to realize, okay, the public maybe doesn't see things exactly the same way as I do. Maybe I should take another tack if there's something that just is totally missing. I remember the chats I had with Lynn Johnston, and she said, this sort of joke will last once, but you can't do it many times because one of the things was this is something very important to remember too. Jokes about like puns, English alliteration, which are funny in English, but if you translate it into French or Chinese or Indonesian or other languages of the world, it will not transfer very well at all. And so always keep that in mind when you do pun jokes. Know your audience. Know that if you have an international audience and your work is being translated, realize that it may not work in another language. But if you're thoroughly, your product's in English, it certainly will work. So your audience rather is in English. You will find some success there. But do know your audience. Do know that if your work is being translated into other languages, to keep things like that in mind. Okay, so that's great. So we've gone into other people's lives and we've asked them to participate and help us out and give us some advice. So you go to the next step. Follow through on what you can. So if you've got some ideas on how you can promote your work, follow through. Get some resources together and start figuring out where you want to place it, what platforms you want to place it on. We are rich today in our world with the social media platforms, and you can choose whatever your audience. You can select your audience and direct it directly to your audience. These things were not available back when I began cartooning, and even in the middle of my cartooning career. It was a lot different now, but now you can basically streamline your promotion directly to the audience you want to address and want to get involved. So yeah, follow through with what you can and start getting it out there. Just get something out there, and then you'll find that things will fall short. So when you do that, troubleshoot what plans fall short, see what's missing. Again, go back to step A and B, brainstorm and talk to others, and see what you can do from that. And that's very helpful. It's and people will have lots of it can be, again, just anybody on the street, or if ideally if you have somebody in the industry that's gone through some of these issues, they will be most times they will be very happy to help you out and to give you advice. And make sure you learn from your mistakes. Don't repeat your mistakes. That's if you want to do something, repeating your mistakes isn't advisable, and that just speaks for itself. And then try again, and the beauty of doing it this way is that you eventually do get better, and and you'll look back on it later and say, yeah, I remember I did this and made the mistake of that, and maybe you'll be lucky enough to not make too many mistakes, and hopefully it's in that category, and you'll look back and say, yeah, look at the great job I did of promoting it. And just getting it out there is a great thing. So let's have a look at number 2. Okay, so we've got ourselves on the road promoting, and budget. So what resources do I have? And so look in your wallet, as the guy's doing in the graphic at the right there, and he's got the smoke of dollar signs puffing out of his wallet there. So what resources do I have? So you might want to use your own resources. But you might want to access other funds. Can I access funds? How, when, and where? So, and there are many resources that you can do now. I didn't realize you could apply for government grants, and I know for these presentations, for these classes, that's largely how it's done through the good people at the Canada Arts Council and other arts councils. They're accessible through funding there. And of course, you do have to be very good at filling out their forms to apply, and they have to approve it, of course. So it's not just they're not just handing it out. You do have to go through the process, and they have to approve everything. But it is something to check into, and it's not something that I believe was available too much back when I was starting out. I think if you were fortunate, and a few of my friends were at the time, that you may be lucky enough to have a backer or someone who's supporting you financially. It could be a parent, or it could be could be any kind of backer that just sees potential in what you're doing. That was basically how it was done, but it can be different now, and it might be you might be a lot more accessible for you. So, or if you can do it on as low a budget as possible, that's a good start too. And then you're not exhausting your resources. I mean, we have today, that'll be our first point, is social media. You have platforms like Facebook, and for artists and imagery, photographers, cartoonists, artists, the Instagram is one that I would recommend too. And if you have a presence there, I actually have an Instagram account, and I have my blog tunes, which I have been doing for the past 3 or 4 years, and it is regularly on Instagram, and get quite a bit of feedback on my cartoons there, which is great. So that can be free. It can be pay as well. You can pay for extra coverage in social media. That would be something that you might want to check out with. I don't have a lot of experience in that. In fact, I don't have any. I've tried to keep it on a low budget, but it is possible to do it. And Facebook, I've heard, is something that a lot of people do to they spend a little money to get a little extra presence out there, and that's certainly very possible. Now, the second one, media outlets, that used to be all we had at one time. So that would be radio, television, newspapers, your nuts and bolts media, which is a bit of a different animal than the social media. The social media is quite heavily controlled, and it's entirely online. I don't believe there's any form of them that is not on the internet. But the media outlets also have a internet presence, and they interact with the social media, obviously, as well. Now, with those, you can get free or pay promotion, and I will just a minute. I will explain what I mean by that, because this is an area I have a bit of experience in, and so you look at the third option, which is advertise versus promotion. So sometimes you will need to advertise, so you'll need to advertise. You'll need to pay for your coverage, or sometimes the promotion will be for a cause. Like that's the way a lot of people try to do it. Try to get past the paying part of it, is to promote something that is community oriented, or something that is of value to the overall enclave of humanity, and which is great. It's very very humanitarian, and that's what we should all be doing as human beings, is making sure we make our community a better place. And that's an important thing. So let's go back to point number 2, which was the media outlets, pay or free. So I just wanted to highlight on that. So if you have an event that is, I don't know if you are appearing at a fall fair doing caricatures, or if you're, if you've designed advertisement for the fall fair committee, you can probably, if you design a logo, the fall fair committee might place that in their advertisement in the newspaper, and that's a case in which you would be hopefully receiving, and it might be doing it on a volunteer basis too, which would be terrific of you to do that. But you would have some promotion if they allowed you to sign your work, for example, and you were. Now, I don't know how many fall fairs there will be in 2021. There certainly weren't any in 2020, but it's an example of what you could do. And you would have your work promoted throughout the media, and if you were allowed to sign it, that would be a bit of promotion for you. So that's something to look at. Or if you were being involved in the fall fair that year as a caricaturist, or whatever in whatever capacity you would be there, you could advertise in that publication or in that media outlet, a radio station, television station, and say, Bob Hardesty is going to be doing caricatures at the XYZ Fall Fair next week, 1 to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So you could do something like that too, and whatever it would cost, that's an option too. But again, it gets your name out there, gets people thinking about you, gets your name out there. And if you have the resources to do it, and then certainly if you don't put yourself in a hole. That's something I should talk about later as well. How many artists have said, well, I'm going to pour all this money into promotion and into resources, and then I'm going to, when I get rich later, I'll reap all the benefits. And it doesn't always work that way. Just to clarify that. And then so that's where the advertise versus promotion. Let's just go there a little further. Yes, I know of a couple of cartoonists who, and this is something that when I went to college, my course coordinators always told us, don't do this. These are the things you shouldn't do when you graduate here. And one of them was to pay for your own comics to be published right off the bat when you're in college and you're paying your college loan and you're paying loans already. Don't put yourself any further in the hole, because you could be paying the rest of your life to just for this little gleaming hope at fame and glory. And that was very good advice, because I have seen other cartoonists who weren't privy to that class, and they started their own comics company, spent a lot of money on publishing, and they were doing whatever they could, scrubbing floors and putting roofs on houses to do whatever they could to pay that loan off. It was just backbreaking debt they put themselves into. And that was good advice by my course coordinator to say, don't do that, because I've seen it happen and I've seen it backfire, and you don't want to go there. That is my key advice. If you don't take any other advice, take that one. Don't put yourself into a financial hole just because you have in your mind, I am going to be a star. I'm going to be a big super cartoonist. It might not work out that way. Just saying. just beware of that type of thinking, and how seductive it can be, and how other people who just want your money can just say, yeah, you're going to be a big star. Just do this. Just be forewarned. Okay, so let's move along here. And so we have the end game. Okay, this is Syndicate Publishing Multimedia Production. Okay, so you've made your mark, and now you've come to a point where somebody's offering you a contract to take it to the next level. You're not just promoting your work anymore. As somebody else has seen some potential in what you do, and they want to promote it. So let's look at some of these different platforms here. Syndicate, that's like a distributor of comic strips. Now, they're not too plentiful now. Most of them out there are connected to book publishing companies. I think the Universal Press Syndicate and Andrews and McMeel Publishing were basically the same company, and I think they've amalgamated into something quite different, but it's basically the same thing. And I don't even know what form. I've totally lost touch with all that stuff. So I hope I'm correct in saying this, but I think they are a company now that is basically a publisher. They publish and specializing in comics and cartoonists. And they basically do reprints of old comics, like we're talking Lynn Johnston's For Better or For Worse, Gary Larson's The Far Side, the great Calvin and Hobbes comic strip was with Andrews and McMeel and Andrews as well. So there's a few of them that they have that are big money makers now, but I don't know how plentiful they are in new talent. It used to be something they would do quite regularly, a search for new talent. Anyway, so let's go to publishing and multimedia production. So that's television and radio. Anyway, that I don't have as much experience in, but I do know that that there are items about creative property and copyright law. So if you have some background in that would be a really great thing to explore yourself. And I have read about some cartoonists who were lawyers that actually did that and have made quite a difference in this whole field. But if you don't, that it may require you having to seek out help in the legal services industry. So you might have to hire legal services over a contract, and that's pretty common if you reach that point, and not too many of us get there. So if you have gotten there, congratulations, first of all, but make sure you go into it with your eyes wide open, and you don't, everybody can make a misstep. It's, and I don't think anybody that I've talked to makes a perfect deal with a syndicate but because most people are quite young when they go into it, kind of with their rose-colored glasses, and that's only normal. You're doing something that you love, and you've got a contract being offered to you, and that's pretty exciting stuff. But it's always good to go into it with your eyes wide open and with a little bit of forewarning that it doesn't always go the way you want. If you just take a little time to investigate things And the best thing to do is to do that now, before it gets to the point where you're like last minute. Oh, I didn't even think any of this stuff, and here I am, have got this contract in front of me, and they need my signature. They need all this from me, and if 20-year contract, that was the usual deal with syndicates, was a 20-year contract. And that's kind of scary. You're putting your name down for 20 years of your life, and right now I'm age 62. If I signed a 20-year contract, they might be carrying me out in a coffin before I've completed it. So that's something that I would be thinking about for sure. But everybody's situation is different. And how do you go over your situation and make sure you're getting a good deal for you? So it's all good time to think about all this stuff. And here's a little guy here looking at the big buildings, kind of scared, venturing into new territory. So it is really important to, you may not have the contract yet, but it doesn't hurt now to know that day might be coming, especially if you know you have something that's really very valuable. And with a little bit of work and a little bit of effort, there's a real potential for it. And it doesn't hurt to just look into it. And again, we go back to step 1 and 2 and brainstorm and talk to others and listen to others. Those are always applicable. And yes, you might make mistakes, but be willing to revisit those mistakes and see what you can do to damage control, and see if you can save some things after that. So that's a pretty scary part of it. Let's get away from that. We don't really want to terrify you. Okay, well, I thought I'd show you today some of the things that I've done to promote my work. And just to give you an idea of what I've done. Now, I won't say that any of these had big impact on anybody, but they were fun to do, and they were good promotions of what I could do. And this is one I did to promote my art services back in the day. This would be, is there a date on this? I'm thinking probably the late 1990s. I had many different things that I was doing. I was doing editorial cartoons. I was doing custom illustrations for companies. This top one here, let's just zoom in on. This was an editorial cartoon I did that was published in a couple of newspapers. The Owen Sound Sun-Times, that I remember, and I don't remember the name of the other one. This was about seniors increasing. And now the time has come, and here we are, seniors everywhere. This particular one was for a contest I entered for Folgers Coffee, and what they wanted was 3 comic strips, different comic strips, but with a similar theme, being Folgers Coffee. And this was my story about the Folgers detective discovering how great Folgers coffee was. So that was a fun one, but I didn't get a prize. It didn't even get a mention there, but I thought it was a great strip, and I did put this image here in my promotion. Okay, let's open layers here, and then we have here. This was a custom drawing I did for someone who was promoting a baseball team, and I eventually colorized it, and I had the copyright to the artwork, and I colorized it and put it in an art show and called the piece "The Great Unknowns," which was a fun drawing. What the job was to basically have. They said it should be a baseball team, but they should be the following. It should be one person blowing a bubble, one person the catcher left his mask on, one guy left the sunglasses on. There's a pretty girl posing sexy. That was this one here. Whoop. And there's, let's see, somebody has their hat on sideways. It was just a few things that they had to have. Oh, yeah, the dog, the mascot is in the drawing too. So that was the dog at the bottom, and the dog with the hat on. That was a fun one. Anyway, it was a good mix of cartoons here. And then this was like an art gallery. The idea was this was a gallery of my work, and then these apes were standing off to the side. saying, "I wonder what style he's aiming." That was a fun drawing, and that was basically an editorial cartoon. It was like a magazine illustration that I had submitted, and it was these apes standing outside a cage, and there was a gentleman with a monocle and a very English-looking, dignified look to him inside a cage. They were looking at him. So that was where that one came from. Okay, so that was page one of the two-sided promotion. This is page two, and you'll see in the top here I have The Average Farm, which was a comic strip I did. So I was trying to basically show all the things I could do. I was just trying to get it out there, and I would send it to newspapers, and I would send it to companies that I thought might be interested in it. I don't know if I ever got a single job from it, but I really knocked myself out trying to promote myself and trying to show what I could do. This is Wayne Gretzky caricature that I did for an ad that I put in some local newspapers trying to advertise my caricaturing, which I didn't really come off very well. I live in kind of a small area, not big population, and maybe not too excited about cartooning and stuff. So it was what it was what it was. Let's put it that way. This was a drawing I did for Active Living magazine, where I freelanced for many years, and this was for a Christmas card for the publisher Joe Taylor. And this was Santa Claus looking through his books of fit boys and girls. For a fitness, it was a fitness magazine, so that was why I had Santa doing that. And this was a scene from my Average Farm comic, and this is the horses, of course. In his younger days, he drew on the walls too. So this is outside of a barn with the gallery again of my cartoons, and then of course my logo in the top left corner. Always make sure to have your if you're doing something like this, have a way for people to contact you and call you up and give you the big offer the money, offer the job. So that's important too. Anyway, so that, who knows whether that worked for me or not. That I thought I'd share that with you because that's in the alley of promotion. So let's I hope this is showing up well here. Okay, so this is something I did for my Average Farm comic strip. I found this today actually, and it was what I would send out with my packages to the newspapers when I was trying to sell the comic. Get on the street, and sometimes I'd drive to towns and go to the newspaper, and they would be too busy to see me. I would leave this package plus my comics, samples of my comics. So I called it the best homegrown comic on the market. There wasn't too many cartoonists in this area, so I thought that might be a good sales point. I was a local guy, and I'm the only guy doing it, so maybe give me a break. Kind of try to play that card, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And then I have Average Farm comic strips, which I would select a few that kind of showed the type of humor and show the humor and the characters. Tried to give a good indication of what the strip was about. So I had a strip here about one of the animals, and that was, of course, a big part of the story. It was there was a lot of elements in the strip that it was hard to show. And then show that it was being printed by newspapers. So it wasn't just sitting there and nobody looking at it, nobody printing it. It was a force. It was there. And this was 1995. I did this. And it's hard to say whether that got a lot of impact at all, but it certainly it would catch your attention, and I mean 90% of promotion is just letting people know you're there. And so I'm going to just take it back here, and then I'm going to create a new layer here. And how are we doing for time? We're getting to be about 35 here. Okay, well, maybe I will just do a little sketch here, just to kind of in a quickie, and it'll be just an idea of what you could do. This isn't something I'm recommending anybody do, but let's just do a little sketch here of what you could do. And I'm not saying you will do it, but something you could do is take somebody out of the news, something that's happening in the news. And one of the people I thought might be funny would be Trump, who we don't hear about much anymore. So I'm not very good at caricaturing him, and I never really got into the whole. A lot of cartoonists made a lot of Trump cartoons, but I will just do something here. And Trump, of course, is no longer president, so we don't even. You hear about him, but you hear about like what the media is basically saying. Whatever happened to this guy? He was the best thing that happened to us. We hated his guts, and we treated him like crap. But where is he when we need him? The thing I heard the other day on the news was the Canadian and American borders were closed, and now we heard nothing from the new president about it. If it was back before that presidential election, we would have heard nothing about what Trump did. what a horrible thing he did by making this worse. But we heard nothing, so that tells me that a lot about promotion. And then this might be a lesson about promotion too. There's good promotion and there's bad promotion, but it all has the same effect. Let's say you've got your character here. This could be a way of promoting your cartoon. You could maybe have Trump here with a microphone in front of him talking. You remember what he was like when he would talk, and I don't recommend doing this, but I'm just saying this is something you could do. I'm not saying go out and do this because I don't know that it would work, but it would catch attention. You could have your character maybe doing something. I don't know. They could be sticking out their tongue at him or something. I don't know. And then say at the top, publish Sunshine Bob comics. It's just a way to get attention, some way to get attention that there's good ways, bad ways, indifferent ways. You pick and choose what they are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. As I said, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Trump is the best example of that. We hated him for 4 years, and now that he's gone, those TV networks and all the media outlets and all the cartoonists, all the editorial cartoonists are saying, "Oh, what am I going to do now? He's gone." So anyway, here we go. So it's an option, and anything from the past, from in the present, that isn't covered by copyright is fair game. And you don't have to say this is Trump. You just say this is former president of the United States, one-time president. Anyway, so that's a little bit of what I could talk about. I'm just going to turn the camera back on myself here, and I hope that you got something out of that. I don't know that you will make your money based on that, but I hope that you can come back and if it is possible that you have a concept or an idea that's going to make its way to the forefront, that this is something that you can come back to and relate to, and I hope it helps you at that time. And all that being said, I think I'll just turn this back to Tom. And thank you very much. And I think Sunshine Bob might be a great idea. I'm not entirely sure of that, but I don't know if I could make money at that or not. So anyway, promoting is it can be fun. Make it a fun thing too, but make sure you are you're comfortable with the way you're promoting it. Don't don't stoop to anything not nice. Don't pick on people that are don't pick on people is always good advice. Although in editorial cartooning, you point to the wound. That's the way it's done, and you don't have to. You just have to watch that the publishers have the real control over what they do. My choice was to do comics that were were less edgy, I guess. Not really though, because I think some of the topics I did cover were quite edgy. They were just they were more about human nature than about current events. It was more about the human condition which is not really nobody has a copyright on. I think we all suffer that one. Whereas in current affairs, there are people that are involved in doing things, and things change. So it's very topical. It's the time period you talk about, and about the U.S. presidency. It was a time when Trump was president. It was a time when there was a focus for the media and for people, I guess, consuming the media too. But that focus seems to be changed now. It's not focused the same way, and it's different. It's a different playing field altogether. Are you there, Tom? I'll just check with Tom again and see if he's busy.
Hey, Jeff.
There.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
I was just had to adjust one other computer here. So yeah, but thanks. Perfect, Jeff. I'm just gonna look at the chat here and let's just see if there's any questions or anything. No, I'm not seeing too much stuff right now. So what I'll do is let's put up your email information, and that way we can make that available. So I'm just gonna post this here. So this is the great thing. So you can if you want to email Jeff Wilson mentorship at gmail.com. If you have questions about anything that he talked about today, just if you want to share some of your work and get some input and anything about cartooning, digital illustration, please feel free to get in touch with Jeff. He'll be able to get back to you that way. So we have that line of communication open, which is really great. If you have any tech questions, you can can email myself, so tom@tbmcs.ca. And again, if you're just computer questions or something with Procreate and you're trying to install it, but I'd also want to always encourage everyone to get to our YouTube channel. And like I mentioned earlier, there's Jeff has some really great the past workshops that we did in terms of getting into working with comic strip masterclass. We had the 2D animation masterclass. And this is really kind of the nice end part where, now what do you do with the stuff that you have and you're drawing and what do you do? And I think that, it's really grateful to have Jeff's actual real world experience and knowledge that he can share with us. And I think that's the key, is to get his insight. And, we all go through different things and as artists, it's always a challenge. And I think, I really thank Jeff for shedding some light on his own work and paths and so on. And I think what I'm learning and more is that really there's never one path or anything, right? So you just have to really do what you want to do. And I think that's the main thing. And then try your best to promote, and people will still find you. So the more you get out there, the more you share, get people to share, get the network, get your it's family, friends, other artists, and and you start to realize the world's not as big as you think sometimes. And I think that's always really nice. Jeff, what do you have to say about that too?
I agree. The world is a big place, but it's only it's a small place too, and it's become smaller with the internet and social media. It's so much easier to access and to find your audience and to focus your audience, or to have a focus, know who your audience is for sure. There, back in the day, I didn't know who my audience was. I didn't know if anybody read it. I just knew the newspaper was still paying me the whatever amount of money per week to run it, and sometimes nothing. I just knew they were still running it, and that's all I knew. So, and if they didn't write letters to me directly, I didn't know. So now with social media, you can get immediate response, and you can, it's great. It really is a small world, and yeah, that would be my take on it. Is that it, just getting it out there and being persistent. And yeah, I think that's a big key too. Be persistent. And if you've got something and you get enough encouragement, you'll have the incentive to keep moving forward, and you will get better. And you'll probably you'll probably find your audience and your niche. And it may not be big bucks, but it's very fulfilling in other ways too. You're doing something like the comics for me. It's very healthy for me personally. So it's. There are fringe benefits as well, so don't take those lightly either. It's very good for yourself, and I think others let me know that they enjoy what I do as well. So that's a small world, and it's great to a world of discovery.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, yeah, so let's, next week we have our fourth final week of the masterclass session of this marketing session. So really excited to have that. And yeah, and like I said, feel free to send Jeff some, an email if you have any questions, comments. Send me an email if you have any questions, comments, and as we go to that, I want to also let everyone know that we're aiming to do some in-person workshops. So we're going to start having that. For the drawing ones, it'll be mainly for more of a youth and children's audience, but we're going to keep expanding that, and we'll start to get into a bit of a hybrid. We'll have some in-person classes. So again, I want to thank all our library partners where we will start holding these in-person classes. So the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library. And yeah, we do hope to start some of these in September and work our way into more and more of these throughout the year. And on that note too, if you can feel free to check out the technology and the computers at these libraries. And also want to thank the Canada Council for the Arts for making all of this happen with their funding. So yeah, until next week, let's leave it at that, and we'll regroup. Same time, same channel here. And as Jeff mentioned, wherever you're joining us from, virtually, remotely, this is the great thing and use that as well for your work, and just as we are for these workshops. The world is your audience, so through the wonder of the internet and social media. So yeah, keep on working away, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. All the best, and take care.